Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Welcome, folks.
Yes, welcome, Stevie. Or Stevie or the Terminator?
No, I'm not Terminator. Jocelyn said I think I'm Ray Charles. And I said, yeah. I got a woman way across the shop. She's good to me. Ray Charles. All right, my friends. I guess we better get started here. Huh, Jeff?
I think so. After that one, yeah. Let's go ahead and go.
I wasn't going to sing. All right. Well, first, let me say happy Columbus Day and happy Indigenous People Day. And if you're in Canada, happy Thanksgiving.
That's right. I heard that the Canuck said she almost forgot about us because she had a turkey leg stuck in her jaw.
Well, we don't forget about Thanksgiving here in America for sure. I couldn't do the show on Thanksgiving Day. Let's just say that. Well, let me get started. Oh, before I get started, let me show everybody. Make sure they know Chicago Ron sucks.
He does. He definitely does. And
we give away some cool things here at Treasure, and rarely do I get one, but this is a cool one that I got. Somebody, Chicago Ron sent that to me. So
yes, he did. He made sure that you got one because you was whining that you never got anything.
All right, my friends. Today's show, of course, is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure. And of course, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guests and members belong solely to guest and member, and not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Monin.
True.
And of course, the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of treasure hunting and metal detecting, and treasure hunting in all forms, and to educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight.
I think we are in a kind of a different way. We're doing things a little bit differently tonight with our guest. Many of you have met him before, and many of you haven't. If you have not, you are in for a very special treat tonight. Very, very well-rounded individual, not only as a treasure hunter, he's very knowledgeable in all things metal detecting, but he's a world-renowned author and has some just absolutely stunning killer books out. Don't you think, Phil?
Yes. And the folks can go to his website. I believe it's stephenlmoore.com.
Yep.
And take a look at them, and they're all history books too. So.
And a lot it's pretty factual, and it's available at all major booksellers, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, all those that will have those in stock. So that's something we're definitely going to talk about tonight, and we're going to get a little bit more in depth into the man himself more, because he's done an awful lot of things in this hobby of treasure hunting in all its forms. Plus, his role with Garrett, one of the remaining true American great companies. So I think we need to get on with it, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. Before we do, I did want to tell the folks the reason I'm wearing these glasses is I had my eyes dilated a little while ago. And then I had my lights changed here in the shop from fluorescent to LEDs, and the light was bothering my eyes. So that's why I look like Terminator.
Now, can you read that comment through your bottles?
Yes, I can. Getting a reflection on Phil's blinders, it looks to me that he's playing video games.
And that's from one of the Ohio contingent.
Yes. Yeah, but Jocelyn will tell you I never play video games. I'm not much into sports or video, but I do play the banjo once in a while.
Once in a while, especially if you've had about this much wine.
If I had a tiny bit of wine, yes.
And that's all he ever has. He never has this much like I do. He has this much.
I just have a tiny bit, yes.
That's right. And I kill the bottle. So,
All right.
anyways, let's welcome our guest for tonight. And if you got any questions, we're going to cover a couple things right out of the gate, so it'll alleviate some of the questions. That we just really we're just going to try to eliminate those couple, 2 or 3 questions. But let's bring on Steve Moore, one of the most fascinating individuals that you'd ever want to meet. Steve Moore.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Phil. How you doing tonight?
Good, Steve. Welcome again. We just love having you come on the show with us.
I feel like I need my sunglasses on instead of these glasses,
Well,
I'm in the presence of stars here.
well,
stars.
the stars are in his own eyes. I can tell you that.
They're in my eyes. If I take the shade off, it bothers. I was just trying to do it, and I can't.
Yeah, I can't get rid of this glare on mine either, try to mess with this laptop, but oh well.
It is what it is. And I know about having your eyes dilated. I have bad case of glaucoma, and they put all kinds of stuff in my eyes. And then when they dilate them, they stay dilated extra long and more so because they just don't adjust to light very well. So it is a nightmare.
Oh, I did cataract surgery a few years ago, and they put some stuff in there, and I swear it was just liquid fire.
Yes.
Burned like nothing you've ever felt before.
I know. You didn't get that, though, did you, Phil? You just had a regular eye exam.
I just had an exam, but they did tell me I've got some cataracts that will eventually have to be taken care of. So,
well, that might alleviate the need to wear spectacles.
hey, that could be. For sure.
It's part of getting old, things just start to break down on us.
It does.
Break down, fall off. Anymore, when you get to be my age, you wake up in the morning and you pull back the covers. If nothing fell off, it was a good night.
There you go. So I guess we better get started here. So first off the bat, Steve, for the folks who don't know you, tell us how long you've been with Garrett and what's your exact job there?
I am the marketing director for Garrett, and I've been there over 17 years. It seems like it hadn't been that long, but time flies. Came from a big background of marketing and advertising and journalism and all that. But they had a good fit there, just kind of fit my background with catalogs. And, we were doing videos for training, but we started developing social media and YouTube videos and stuff not too long after I got there. So it's been fun and it's been exciting, especially the field marketing, which is getting out and testing the products, talking to the customers, going to rallies, going to hunts. I love that part of the job. Unfortunately, I'm in the office more than I get to do the fun stuff, but every once in a while we get to sneak out. We just got back about a month ago from doing a couple of the big England rallies over in the UK. And man, you talk about big showings of people. One of them was 1,200 people. The other was, I'd say, well over 1,500, 1,700 people. So
that's Detectable, Steve?
Detectable was one of them, and the previous weekend was the Cook Memorial.
Oh, yeah, that one's really big, isn't it?
Yeah, Gary does that one in support of his father who passed away from cancer, and they raise tens of thousands of pounds, English dollars each year for cancer support. And really a good time. In general, they have some pretty good fields with some pretty good finds out there. So,
Steve, I didn't mean to interrupt, but is it all natural finds? It's not like seeded?
It's all natural on both of them, although there's a couple places where we'll put out some tokens. Like we had 100 or so tokens in one particular field.
Okay.
You come back to our distributor Regton's booth and redeem those for merchandise or shovels or different things. But you kind of know going out that there's a certain area that's planted if you want to look for prize tokens. Yeah. Other than that, it's 1,000+ acres just to roam and explore out there,
Yeah. And they have a whole lot more history than we have here in their country.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I was reading a little bit about it. for from some people, and everybody had a really good time. There was a lot of really cool stuff found.
There's always, a few gold coins that show up, whether it's a Celtic stater or just a early gold coin. I didn't have that luck, but I did find some nice silver coins on the trip, a couple of little hammered coins. And it's funny because, we're used to searching for dimes on the scrape lots or at the beach, getting a high like 70s or 81, 82 reading on, say, an AT Pro or an AT Max. And these little hammered coins are way down low, lower numbers because they're just paper thin.
Mm-hmm.
But the Brits over there, that they love that. I mean, that's just the most coveted thing, is to find a early hammered coin that's in good condition.
Yeah.
Had a few of those and had some Romans. So we had a pretty good trip.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, you had a question on there earlier, and then
I'll put it back.
From
Put it back, but I had to put this one up.
Okay. Dad, oh my God, the glasses. That's my daughter and son-in-law. That's funny.
Yeah, if the kids can't make fun of you, who can,
They do.
I didn't think she watched me. So there you go. They do watch you. Okay, the question was from Tom Becker, and
here.
he was asking, how old were you when you wrote your first book, and what was the book about?
The first one I did, let's see, it was back in 96 that it was first published. So I probably started writing it a couple of years before that. I had a couple of co-authors, and one was a professor at Stephen F. Austin, where I went to school, and he was part of a carrier squadron in World War II. And another buddy of his that helped collect museum oral history for what used to be the Confederate Air Force. Now they can't call it that. It's the Commemorative Air Force, to be politically correct. But they'd collected a lot of history and had tons of photos and everything, but they had no idea how to put together a squadron history book. And I said, yeah, I'd love to work on that, because I'm kind of a history buff and a World War II, avid reader, and got to interview dozens and dozens of these pilots from World War II, the rear seat gunners, the radiomen, just fascinating time. And gosh, how old was I?
16, wouldn't you? About that, 96, 16?
Yeah, I was going to say somewhere in the late 30s, 36. No, I have to go back and think about that, in the 30s somewhere. I'm 56 now. So if I could do math, I could tell you, but I can't do math. So.
Well, Steve, I bet it's interesting talking to the veterans from World War II about what they did over there, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's kind of always been my genre, is not just telling history, because to me as a kid, history was kind of boring, a lot of background and strategy. But to me, it's the personal stories of what happened, what they're thinking, what they're experiencing. So with each of these books, it's me reaching out to people, whether it was a metal detecting book. I mean, nobody wants to read what Steve Moore knows, which is not much. But with Relic Quest, I interviewed easily more than 100 veteran diggers, divers, relic hunters, coin hunters of all type. And I did the same thing with, Vietnam or Special Forces history or World War II history. Is not what do I know or what did I find out, but who can I talk to that was there, that really knows the real story?
Yeah. Have you had the opportunity, Steve, to visit any World War II sites, let's say, for instance, Normandy, or maybe in the Philippine Islands, anything like that?
That's on my wish list. With that first book, I was actually, long before I had kids, we did a trip to Hawaii, and I went over to one of the islands and went to one of the naval airfields that was long abandoned. And this was long before I was detecting, but it was just overgrown with the jungle. But we're walking around where these guys were training in 1942 and 1943. And I guarantee you there was coins and buttons all out there in that undergrowth that if I could go back there today, oof.
Yes, I imagine so. Well, I spent time in the Philippine Islands when I was in the service, and there's still a lot of stuff there, And then I went on a trip to France. We went to the beaches in Normandy, and I tell you what, it'll blow you away.
Yeah, we've done a couple things over in Europe where we've worked with archaeologists and people trying to preserve history. We actually got to work on a couple of aircraft wrecks, try to find the planes. One was a German fighter, and another was a Dutch plane that went down pretty close to where the fighter went down. And we found tons, 50 caliber rounds, some live, some expended, cartridges, bits and pieces of personal effects from the planes, and actually some of the metal that had identifying numbers on them, serial numbers. It's kind of tragic when you're looking at the site of where some people died, but you're also trying to recover things that help tell the story of what happened to them. So
yeah, we had some other guests, Sid and KT Jones. They were at Hawaii, and they got to find one of the Nihao Zeros,
right.
the plane that had crashed, and it was still there in pretty good shape, actually. And they got to explore that and find that, and they wrote a book on that. And they were absolutely fascinated by it,
Yeah, one of these years, if I can ever afford it, I need to go back to Hawaii because I've got a wish to metal detect in all 50 states. And there's a couple I've been to that I didn't detect at that time, and one of them's Hawaii. So I think I've got maybe 5 states left to go, and that's one of them. So one of these days I'll get back to those beaches.
What's the other states?
For one, it's one I've never stepped foot in, and I've come close. It's North Dakota. We did a road trip up to South Dakota, to the Badlands, through Deadwood and up to Yellowstone and all that. And I was trying to get my brother-in-law and them, like, let's just drive an hour and a half north and go to North Dakota just so I can detect. But they didn't see the fun in that. So that's still on the list. And then a couple up in the north where I've been years ago, like Iowa, I just wasn't detecting, and I had no reason back at that time when I was there. So I've just got a handful to go back to and, do some detecting.
Well, North Dakota, that would be a good one. Another friend of ours, Fred Banke, goes up there and detects, and he has found an absolute ton of good artifacts.
I imagine so. I mean, every state, even if they're a young state, if you will, they've got some pockets of history and some interesting things to find if you know where to look.
Yeah, he's found a ton of bullets and other stuff, from the when the cavalry with the Indians and stuff like that.
Yeah, back in the 1800s. Yeah.
It's just immense stuff. So there's stuff all over the country to find. A little bit more history possibly on the East Coast than there is other places, but it depends on what you're looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here in the States, you can find World War II stuff, but it has to be, where they were doing training or where troops were stationed. The previous summer, we did one of the rallies in England out near the Isle of Sheppey, which is way out to the east, and we'd never been there. And we went to the beach to search one day, and they had the tidal effect there. And so the tide goes out while we're there way out, hundreds and hundreds of yards. I started digging these like 30-06 cartridges. I'm like, what the heck's this? The next thing you know, we got dozens and then hundreds of these things. And come to find out there had been some World War II activity and training right off that island. And there were just thousands of cartridges out there. So you never know where you're going to run into World War II stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here in my area, down by me on a little place called Carabel Beach, that's where they trained to come aboard, when the landing craft.
Right.
That is St. George Island. St. George Island beaches, it's now a state park, but you can detect the beaches in there. And we find cartridges and stuff all the time. And that's where they practice their runs. And then with the landing craft, they actually train the guys there. So.
Oh, they lost all kinds of stuff practicing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, we find stuff here, Jeff, out in the Gulf. We find 50 cal shells, were used for training. They're always washing ashore, for sure.
Well, Tom Becker he says, Steve, I think Garrett needs to field test some detectors in Hawaii, and you need to go supervise the testing.
Absolutely. I like the way he's thinking. Yeah.
So Tom, send that in to Garrett.
And tell him.
Send that suggestion in there, and let's make it happen.
I like it. I'll go.
Tom's always thinking about others.
Steve, we got a question here, and I guess we need to knock these out real quick. Is Garrett going to do anything with the White's V3i technology?
With the White's technology?
It's V3i. I know you guys did the 24K was very similar to the White's gold prospecting detector.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to be out with the Goldmaster later this week. We've got several gold events in California with GPAA and with Placer Pete, and Digstock's got a gold event. So we're going to be working with, what was the former White's GM24K. I'll be doing some stuff with Axiom. I'm heading out later this week for that. As far as V3i, I can't say anything on the near future coming up with that. I know there's definitely some hardcore fans that love that machine and some of the technology in it. But immediately, I can't say there's anything coming up with that. Is it something we'll consider in the next year or two? It's always possible, because we know White's had a loyal following, American company. Ken and Charles knew each other. They were friendly, they were competitive, but they got along. And so Mr. White and Mr. Garrett, hats off to both of those men that aren't with us now, but one of the companies is still going. The other one, we're doing our best to help preserve the legacy in some form or fashion. And we definitely appreciate those that have interest in some of those products, and keep our fingers crossed on that front.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that 24K, that's been a good detector since it's been introduced, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was a fan of our AT Gold, which, had a higher frequency than, say, an AT Pro did. But you're talking much different when you double the frequency for finding tiny, tiny little pieces of gold. It's got some really good ground tracking abilities on that. So we're going to get out there and show a bunch of folks how to run that. Some will be veteran prospectors. Some will be newbies that are going out to this claim. But I think we got 175, a couple hundred people at the event I'm doing this weekend. And I'm going to do my best to teach them what I know about the Goldmaster and also the Axiom. So, with the Goldmaster, you can run that a little bit and kind of almost relic hunt a little bit and use Discrim on it and kind of pick or choose your targets. As you get into the Pulse machine, it's obviously a different world, but with the double D coil, you do have some iron check ability. So do our best to walk some folks through finding some stuff with those machines this weekend. And they've actually got a cool contest on Sunday. There's a combination. There'll be some wet panning, some dry panning, metal detecting events, a number of stations. So we're going to run one of the stations on Sunday. And if you successfully, as a 4-man team, complete that challenge, you move to the next station and the next station, and they will eventually get clues to go dig up a treasure box out there in the desert somewhere. So they've made it fun, but we have to do our part to run one of the stations, as do the dry panning and wet panning people. And kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're going to be in California then?
Yeah, we fly into Ontario, and I think we're up near just north of there, half an hour or so, just out in the boonies, literally. But it's a massive claim that this Placer Pete group has. You can look them up, Placer Pete, Placer. And they've had this event 2 or 3 times. And I think if it goes well, they'll probably have another one. So folks could come out and detect and learn different aspects of prospecting and what that's all about,
Well, I think maybe a lot of people don't realize that Garrett has some really great prospecting tools and gear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely do. And we've spent the past couple of years, some new security products just came out this year. But for our group, we have been focused a little bit on prospecting the past couple of years. And, the veteran coin hunters are ready for something different on that front. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I got to go to Australia and test the Axiom over there. We found gold. Everybody in our trip found gold. And we're talking tiny, tiny little pieces like grains of sand that would just scream out as if it was a coin. So I can tell you it's much more advanced than our previous gold machines. And the Goldmaster is very hot, when you're running a single frequency machine. So we've got a few more weeks of promoting that coming up this month. But yeah, good stuff. And people over in Africa and other countries like Kenya, where they have the gold rushes, it's a much bigger deal to us. Now, the Gold Prospectors of America, GPAA, they've got claims, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, California, North Carolina, all over the place. So, but it's kind of a niche group. I mean, you're into looking for gold nuggets and prospecting, or you're into something else, but those who are into it, that's a hardcore group of folks. And they put a lot of hours into looking for those nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to watch. And there's a few YouTubers that I've been watching, and it's really fascinating to watch. And it's people think you just go out there and dip it in the stream and start shaking it and you'll come up with gold. It's not that easy, is it, Steve?
No, I mean, you're out there in the desert or in dry creek beds or on the sides of hills, and you're using a pick and moving rocks and scraping gravel. And you might get lucky and find a few one day. You might, put 2 full days in the field, and it's usually warm. It's usually pretty rough elements out there. But when you find it, I mean, it's like finding an old silver coin. I mean, it's just that that glory moment when you find that little nugget in the scoop,
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Phil.
I was going to say, you popped a question up there from the Mumbles man, Tim Naylor. He wants to know if you tried the Axiom in Culpeper.
Yes, Miguel and I have been out there. In fact, I think Brandon from Adventure Archaeology is going out there next month. He's going to give it a shot. He's a pretty loyal Garrett user. But Miguel and I both found bullets, buttons, shell frags. Miguel found a big Civil War artillery shell with it. I found chunks of shells. We were kind of near a battle site on that particular DIV hunt. But hot ground, I mean, those who've heard about it, it's red hot iron ore dirt. It'll make a single frequency machine chatter all day long. But definitely found some good stuff out there. And we did kind of a show and tell, the demo, and we had a bunch of axioms there for anybody that wanted to learn how to run it, go test it out. And all we said was go out there and dig anything, come back in a couple hours. I don't care if you dig a square nail or a button, we'll put you in the running. And we had some cool prizes to give away. So we got a lot of people to test drive the Axiom, and I think the local dealer, sold a good number of them.
Cool. Yeah, I sold in the American Digger magazine. I guess this is this month.
There it is.
That's Miguel with the Axiom and the shell.
Mick Diggs. Yep, he always gets lucky and finds something good. He went with us to England on this last trip. It was his first time over there, and he was all gung-ho to find a really old coin because, I usually wear a nice coin or something that I found, and he wanted to find a hammered coin. And by God, if not the second day out there, he's got his arms up and he's doing his little dance. And he had I think it was 1500. I'm trying to recall off the top of my head, but really, really nice, large, like quarter size hammered silver coin with really good detail, and I'm finding these scratchy little hammered dime looking coins that don't have much detail. And of course, the first one he digs is just almost pristine with the cross on it and everything. So now, seriously, he's a very good detectorist. He's avid at doing it on his own free time. And when you do that, you get better at it,
Right. You concentrate on it. You learn your detector, and you just know what it is most of the time before you dig it. Looks like you got that one up there, Jeff, from Sam. She says they sell a great gold panning starter kit that includes the snuffer, bottle, pans, classifier, magnifier, tweezer, and a vial to hold your gold. And believe it or not, folks, we stock that right here in Tampa, Florida.
Why anybody would be surprised if Phil don't stock it? They don't need it.
Well, let's face it, we're in Florida. We don't have the raw gold everywhere like they might have in North Carolina or Georgia or out west. But we do have quite a few people come in and buy gold pan kits because they want to go up to like the Lost Dutchman mines or or one of those camps and do that. So it's kind of cool that Garrett makes that, and we have it in stock here in the store for sure. So, Steve, do you do any panning and prospecting like that?
When I'm in those areas, I'll probably do a little bit this weekend. From what I'm told, it's fairly dry out there if they haven't had rain, but they will bring in some tanks so that you can, collect your materials and run them. They'll be doing some dry panning. So in between teaching, detecting, and running some of the stations out there, yeah, I definitely plan to do a little bit. I've done some in Alaska, the Yukon, Colorado, Washington State, different places like that. It's fun. I can't say that I've, filled up a big vial, but you get the gold color, you get the, the fine little specks in there, and it's addicting, to get down there and spend hours doing that,
Oh yeah, sounds like fun to me for sure. That's awesome.
Definitely a great hobby. I mean, it's a good way to get out there and pass time. If I live closer to the mountains, which I don't, or streams like that, I would definitely, have fun doing that. But we've got to go on a few adventures where we get to sit back and do some panning for a few hours.
Well, cool.
Well, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. You were mentioning to us that you've got a new book coming out.
Yeah, the next one coming out is World War II related, December 5th. You can see it on StephenLMoore.com or jump on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And ironically, I met the main character for this. He's a World War II vet going over to England. We were going over to the rallies a couple of years ago. And I've done some books on the submarines in World War II. And I happened to notice his hat that he was wearing and a particular jacket, submarine veterans. And he had the name of his submarine on there. And so I kind of struck up conversation with them, and KG and Ringy saw me as they were getting off the plane, and they're like, he's gone. Okay, he's found an old guy to talk to over there. He's got a veteran. Bill turned out to be just a hoot. He was floored, just stunned that I knew some details about what his submarine did. And specifically, they were the first to sink a Japanese aircraft carrier. And he was a radar technician at the time, running radar, running radio communications, did a lot of important stuff, a lot of cool stuff. And he went on to work on missiles and satellites after the war. Actually, before he retired, helped with the early stages of global positioning systems, the modern GPS.
Mm-hmm.
And we just struck it up. And his daughters were like, oh my God, you guys have to get together when you get back from England and talk. And we did, and did a lot of research on his ship and what they accomplished. And to make a long story short, their submarine had sunk during its trials, killed half the crew, and America actually raised it. That was a big salvage effort to save half the crew from deep depths with a diving bell. They brought it up and renamed it the Sailfish, and she went on to sink the first carrier in the war. And there were American POWs on that carrier. So there's a whole backstory of things going on between Americans on the Japanese carrier and the Americans stalking that carrier. But Bill is still alive. He's 99. And actually, he's going to come to Texas in December. We're going to do some signings at the Nimitz World War II Museum and a couple other bookstores. So he's actually really excited. And for a 99-year-old guy, he's sharp mentally. He gets around pretty good. So really looking forward to that,
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a very good read. Indeed.
Strike of the Sailfish is the name of it. So check it out if you're a World War II historian.
For sure. That's going to be a good book for sure. Hey, Steve, we did have a question. Now, this one Jeff didn't put up, but it says it's from Headhunter Coinslayer. So is the AT Gold a better machine for gold than the Garrett AT Max? I think the Max was like having the AT Pro and the Gold in one.
Yeah, it's a good question, kind of a tough answer on that. When you had the Pro, you had 15 kilohertz. So with the Gold, we came out with a higher frequency at 18 kilohertz and put a smaller, more compact coil on there to really focus that energy. Gave it the ground balance window, which was a good way to not only balance to one point in the soil, but to spread your ground balance where the soil is changing on you. it introduced additional ground balance features that you don't have on the Pro. So it's a much better gold machine there. Now, comparing it to the Max had ground balance window on it, which is automated. So that's kind of a cool step the gold didn't have. The frequency goes down on the Max, so it's not as high of a frequency on gold, but it's a powerful machine. If you run the Max versus the Pro, you know that when you go into the all metal mode, you definitely gain extra power. So you can find nuggets with both of those machines. However, with the much higher, like 40 kilohertz type operation, like the GM24K, it's going to find the more granular, little tiny sub-gram pieces of gold better than either the AT Gold or the AT Max would be able to. So that's a long answer on some of that, but the technologies, the power, the frequencies all come into play with tiny gold.
Yeah, I would say that the all those detectors, all the Garrett detectors will find gold. Even your A series can find gold. It's just that when you want to find the real tiny nuggets, then you need the higher frequencies. Would you agree with that?
I remember years ago, just a couple of kids out there. There's a place called Rye Patch out in Nevada where they do a lot of nugget hunting, and this kid found a beautiful big chunk of gold with an Ace 250. Now, when the gold gets big enough, you can find it with an Ace, and certainly with the Pro, a Gold, the Max, and all that. But when it gets down to grain of sand size, we were finding like quarter like grain size pieces with the Axiom. So it's all relevant to what you're looking for. But big gold could be found with a lot of machines.
Right, and I imagine there's a lot more smaller gold than there is that big gold.
Yeah, the big gold is fewer and far between, or it sounds like a big hunk of iron. You walk past it and you don't know you're walking past a 6-pound nugget, right below the soil.
Oh, geez, 6 pounds.
Yeah, somebody following you pulls that up and you want to kill yourself.
I'm still jealous of the guy. I think, what was it, Kentucky this past year? He found 300 and something gold coins from the Civil War.
Woo.
In a field, I think. Wasn't it in like a farm field or something?
Yeah, and I've heard that it might have been plowed up. I heard that he found it with a detector, but I've never heard a lot of details, unless you guys have,
No, I just heard little bits of it on the internet.
He's probably keeping it quiet because there's probably a lot of people coming after him to go look for that stuff, because some of those $20 gold pieces I heard are worth 6 figures alone just for one coin,
Yeah.
Rare stuff.
Yeah, it looks like Jeff's got one here. My understanding is that Garrett bought White's company, including the tech. Did Garrett learn or incorporate anything into the newer detectors using the info learned from the White's company?
Yeah, we kind of already touched on the Goldmaster 24K. We certainly took that and took the White's technology, put a little bit of tweaking on it to put the Garrett perspective on it, change the coloration and the logos a little bit. The Axiom's a whole different animal with the Pulse machine. I know there's some TDI folks and people that have used the Whites for a lot of years, but I would say the Axiom is far more advanced than even our own ATX or TDI. But certainly we have those technologies and our engineers have access to that as we look at future things and other technologies coming up. So in a roundabout way, yeah, we did with the Goldmaster, but we haven't picked up the V3i or one of the other ones that somebody mentioned earlier. But anything's possible since we have that ability. And the main thing is we help preserve the name of the company and keep it out of the hands of some of the folks that are cloning stuff overseas and could have, done anything with that, not being protected.
Right.
There was the thing you were talking about earlier, Phil, about the
Yes.
the Garrett Carrot, which is the #1 pinpointer in the world with good reason. And what was that you were telling us?
Yeah, I was just I wanted to tell the folks that you see these on Walmart, their Amazon or Walmart.com website, sold by independent dealer, and it's really not a Garrett Pro pointer. The person who was on there bought it, called Garrett with the serial number, and it was counterfeit. So don't waste your money buying an inferior product, because Garrett, I can say this, has put a lot of time, money, and research into coming up with a good product. So you don't want to cheat yourself out of getting the good product for sure.
Yeah, and if you see that, Phil, I mean, feel free to shoot us an email with the pictures of it, or if the customer has that, we want to go after those folks that are bringing that product in. It's tough, we deal with it. The other brands have their own cloning they have to deal with. It's an eternal fight. You can stomp out one little bad guy, and two more pop up that are cloning stuff and bringing it in. So, as you said, buyer beware of a price that seems way too good to be true.
Right. When it's $65 for a $127 item, you know it's too good to be true. There's some issue there. So, yeah, buyer beware, because if you buy that product, your warranty ends when they get your money. So.
Yeah, I warned my daughter about that. Found a vehicle she wanted to buy that was $3,000 and it was in great shape and low mileage and all this, and it was through the internet. I'm like, it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. Promise me. But
Hey, I have a friend of mine, Ricky T. He says, bring back the Garrett XL 500 PI. Love that machine.
Going back a few years there, right?
Oh, and it looks like Jeff got one there from Bill Crow. I owned a GTI 2500 several years ago. Excellent machine. Is the current Garrett technology way above this, the same, or totally different?
It's a mixture. I think there's better technology in the newer machines like AT Max and even Apex because you're getting into multi-frequency and some of the advantages of what we have there. I still love the GTI because you had the sizing element on there. I'd love to see us, reinvent or bring that back at some point, because knowing what size something is before you dig it is, you can always lift the coil, of course, but I love that part of it. I did my first Civil War hunting with the GTI 2500. Found great stuff with the 1500, the 1350, even the 550. So I called them the green machines back in those days. 2500 is the one that we still have left, but I still love it. I use it every once in a while, but I think I like the lighter weight of some of the newer stuff. I like the multi-frequency, the saltability and all that. So certainly nothing wrong with it. I know people that still use the GTI and find great stuff,
Have you ever used the Eagle Eye attachment on that?
I have, yeah. We were actually looking for a time capsule here in Texas a month or two ago, dead of summer. And we were using that, and also one of our big coils on the Axiom. And we found a lot of hits of what could have been it. And the folks out there, they had some folks from East Texas helping them search. And I think they did eventually dig up all the hits, and they found it weeks later after we were gone. But yeah, we put in some hours with the big 2-box coil out there. I've also used it on up in Idaho and East Texas. It's not something I'd want to walk around with 12 hours a day like I do when I'm in England, but it's a specific purpose. You're looking for something large, cannonballs or a cache of coins or a treasure box or something,
Yeah, I've sold a few of those that went to, I guess, South America. And I never hear back if the people found anything or not, but I just always thought they were pretty interesting that you could put that 2-box on that 2500 and go incredibly deep on larger targets.
Well, if I was in South America and I found a big pile of gold, I probably wouldn't be like the guy in Kentucky and talk about it, because I don't know what the South American government would want to do with me,
Yeah, I'm the same way. Jeff, if I was over on the east coast of Florida and found the coins that Jim Tibbet found,
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't have told anybody either.
no, well, he was like a kid in a candy store. He couldn't wait.
Yeah,
But that's all right.
Yeah.
Steve, let's just cover a little bit about what you're kind enough to donate for a giveaway tonight, the Ace Apex.
Oh,
Yeah.
A little bit for.
We need to tell you a winner tonight, don't we? Yeah, so the Apex, especially where you guys are, your winner could be anywhere, but love that machine at the beach. It's a great relic hunting machine. It's a great coin machine. a variety of different coils from, the big Reaper all the way down to the little Ripper, the smaller coils. I like the Viper size that's on there. The Raider is also a good one at 8.5, 11, but it's really good on targets. I run the multi-frequency more frequently than not, but sometimes I'll fall back to just a 10 or 15 kilohertz if I'm working a yard where I don't need the extra depth. But terrific machine, lightweight, rechargeable, built-in battery and all that great stuff. Wireless.
Yeah, and it's very light as well, well balanced. And the screen is one thing I really like about all Garrett products is the screen is very easy to see and to read.
Yeah, and I love the backlight at night because I go to Florida once or twice a year if it works out, take the kids or the family. And when they get tired or early morning, I'm at the beach. And so I've got that backlight on and I'm trying to find what all your friends down there have lost yesterday,
Pole cabs.
Yeah, those were lost like 60 years ago, Jeff.
Yeah, and pieces of aluminium.
Aluminum, yes, for sure. Yeah.
So, speaking of that, I think we need to give away a Garrett Ace Apex.
Let's do it.
What do y'all think? So, everybody, it's time for our giveaway. So get ready. Steve and the fine people from Garrett were kind enough to donate a Garrett Ace Apex. It's really a killer machine, and whoever wins it tonight is going to be really, really happy. I know. As always, number one, you have to be a member of Treasure Talk, whether it be Treasure Talk YouTube or Treasure Talk on Facebook, because they do check and make sure that the people whose names are drawn are members. Number two, you have to be tuned in to win. And number three, you have to put in a certain phrase that I give you in the comments below when I put up the giveaway video, and that phrase was Steve Moore, a world-renowned author. So that's what you had to put in. I have all the names that were submitted were tabulated at 6:30 p.m. sharp every Monday night. I draw the names of my random name picker and some alternates, because once your name is called, and only if your name is called, you will have 3 minutes to text me at my phone number there. But you must text me with your name and that you are here. If I don't see a name, I don't have any idea who it is. You've got 3 minutes. If you don't respond within 3 minutes, I go on to the next person. So get ready, because this one person is going to be happy, happy, happy.
Happy for sure.
Very happy, let me tell you, because this is a great, great giveaway. It's one of the best we've ever had.
Yes, it is.
Lexicon 914, if you are watching, you is the proud owner of a Garrett Ace Apex.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. It's counting.
That super light detector that runs multi-frequency and is wireless. Now, one thing I didn't know, that the wireless pinpointer works in that too, doesn't it?
Yeah, and especially at the beach, because not that I don't want to talk to people, but when you're in your zone, you're really digging. Oh, what are you doing? What are you finding? What's going on? You get the people coming up asking questions, and I love to talk to people and all that. But at the same time, I kind of want to just get my little groove and do my thing. So now I've got it buzzing in my ears and not out loud for everybody to wonder, what is that?
Yes. Yeah. So that's awesome that it all pairs together like that. And did you get your winner already, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's quick. I think last time we had to go 2 or 3 rounds,
I think they learned. So what they need to do now is you have to send an email to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com, as it's stated on the screen. And
right down there.
Your name, address, and phone number. And I will get that to Steve, and he will make sure that your detector gets sent out to you, and you will be happy, happy, happy when you're hunting.
All right. Congratulations.
And that
We got
was,
one of the best detectors on the market today. Let me
Yes.
tell you.
and Jeff, that was Lexicon 914.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Lexicon
Congratulations.
914.
Yeah. So they're going to have an awesome American-made multi-frequency detector for sure. Yeah.
Good
So
times are in store.
Yeah, here's one that the last one, Ricky T won, and he absolutely loves the Apex. We've got a couple other people in the chat tonight. Dirty Paws Detecting, they're big nighthawks on the beach, and they absolutely love the Apex.
Way to go, Rick. Send us some pictures, go to our social media, check us out, share some of your good finds. I mean, we pick winners every month. Who knows? You might win another metal detector. You never
Yeah,
can tell.
So where do they send the pictures to?
If you go to Garrett.com, there's a place where you can go into the find of the month, Von Garrett's find of the month. We've been doing that for, 10, 12 years or more. Give away free metal detectors every month, picking a favorite find internationally and here in the States. And we post those on Facebook, Instagram. You can see all the winners every month. But all you got to do is send in a cool find, throw your silver coin on the Apex control box or your gold ring or your necklace, and you never know who's going to get picked.
That's
Could
right.
be Phil Myers. You never know. You just don't know.
Well, we can't win because we can't win on the show, but I could send a picture in for sure.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
you got to take those dark sunglasses off to hunt the beach at night anyway. You're not going to find anything.
Well, he might. He's got the Braille system.
Yeah.
See, that's why he never wears shoes when he's in the water. He's detecting with his toes.
Digging with his feet.
I've got shoes on. I protect my feet. I don't see how the hunters can hunt those beaches without something protecting their feet.
Man, I got to have foot protection. When I was a kid, I jumped off a pier and landed on half a Coke bottle and sliced up in my ankle. And then my son off in college just got tossed off a pier last month, shredded his feet on all this jagged metal because he was barefoot. So when you go in the lake and you're detecting in the water, wear some foot protection. That's my word of advice.
Yes, always.
Because anybody that's hunted the beaches for any length of time will know that, because you cannot believe what we find on the beaches.
There's always idiots out there breaking bottles. So there is glass in every lake and every beach. So
because people just throw stuff away, or they'll break it up and just do it for pure meanness. So always, and hypodermic needles.
Yeah.
Anything you can imagine. Hey,
Pretty much.
Steve, we do have a question. This one is from Jim Bacorn, and he's saying, "Hey, Steve, what is your best find with your metal detector?"
Just a variety of things. I've got one gold coin, $1 1851 coin. So that's one of my favorites. I've found a few nice silver coins overseas and here in the States. I'd still love to find, I've got a like 1830 silver coin, but I'd love to find 18 teens or 1790s. That would be the ultimate. Civil War belt plate was one of my favorites. Cannonballs were fun to find. It's something different for every person, but I've got to detect some Texas battlefields where my ancestors fought as Texas Rangers. So finding some musket balls and things there, not that big a deal to most people to find, but knowing that my great grandpa could have fired that, some of that stuff's pretty cool to me. I don't sell anything. I'll give away stuff before I would ever sell it. I've got boxes of junk, as my wife calls it, over in this corner, relics and coins, but you just collect them. And every coin, every relic's got a story. And probably some of my favorites are ones that I can tie to a certain event that may not be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but they have, bigger sentimental value.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you had relatives that were with the Texas Rangers. Now, that might be a really good book, Steve, with the Texas Rangers, how they were tied to Charlie Goodnight. Was the big cattleman of the day and did all the cattle drives. You know, everybody's watched that movie Lonesome Dove, and they think that you know, the two characters were real. They weren't. They were based off Charles Goodnight. So that might be a good book, especially if you've got relatives involved in that.
Yeah, we did a ranger recovery, if you will, out in kind of the central Texas area last year. And it's probably a place I'll go back to, but it's where the first 5-shooter Colt revolving pistol was used against the Comanches in a successful attack, the Rangers versus Comanches. And we've pretty much pinpointed the property where it happened, but I do want to go back and look for some more telltale lead of this specific caliber.
Mhm.
That's kind of fun. And I did do a book for Garrett years ago called Last Stand of the Texas Cherokees. And it's about the 1839 Cherokee War in East Texas, where there were Rangers and militia fighting a number of Indians. And the last couple chapters is where we go back with metal detectors and do the archaeological work on the property. So the real history tied in with some modern detecting history. So that kind of stuff's fun for me, you know?
Yeah, it would be. Now I'm going to save Mumbles, man, the pain of typing it in. He wants to know what your most unusual find is.
Man, I probably have to think about that for a little bit, but usually some kind of goofy kid's toy or something like that. I found this green turtle with like emerald eyes that had some kind of metal content down at the beach. But just bizarre little things like that. Well, actually, there was one a couple of years ago in England. To me, it looks like Satan's head. It's like a demon's head that was cast out of something. I don't know if it was pewter or bronze or whatever, but it was just wicked looking evil thing. But it was like kind of cool. I mean, I threw it in the pouch and I didn't know until I cleaned it off later. I'm like, oh, this is kind of scary, like a devil's head. And here we are approaching Halloween of all times, you know?
Well, it kind of looked like a KG or Ringy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah, King George.
Yeah, I think we've all found some weird stuff and some interesting stuff. I'd have to think about that, but there's always something you look at later and go, what is this? And how did I find this thing? Or you find something kind of coincidentally as you're digging the hole or digging a target, something random pops up like a little plastic baby doll or some toy, you know, at the beach. I did dig some pirate treasure last year in Florida. I found 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 gold pirate coins. Now, some poor child probably went to one of those museums and got all these pirate coins with the Spanish cross. And tell you what, man, in the dark, the first one came out of the ground gleaming gold. You want to talk about kind of going, ooh, for a minute.
Yes, for a minute. Then you realize it. Hey, Steve, it looks like our time is waning here, but I did want to ask you, you talked about some of the bigger hunts you did over in Europe. When is the next Charles Garrett Memorial Hunt?
Yeah, we have not confirmed one for next year for 2024. It's such a major undertaking. It might be that we do it every 2 years. If we're going to do one in the spring, I would say we'll announce it by the turn of the year. But if you don't hear from us, I would say it's safe to bet it'll either be next fall or spring of 25. But that said, it would be a good year to do something. We're coming up on our 60th anniversary in 2024. So time flies with Garrett. You know, it's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I have a lot of customers who've gone to that and they just speak highly of it. So, well, it looks like, Jeff, we're at that time, aren't we, my friend?
Oh, yeah, we are. It was fun tonight. I tell you what, just to, to find out more about you, Steve, what makes you tick, and the books and stuff that you've written and how you go about it and the interviewing and that type of stuff. It's fascinating to me, and I'm sure it was to everybody in the chat tonight. And they just, they're very, very appreciative of all the knowledge that you have to pass on, which is a wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Huge wealth of knowledge. I will say that. So.
Always a pleasure to chat with you guys, and I wish you the best and happy hunting this fall. And hopefully we'll run into each other out in the field at some point.
Yeah, everybody wants you to have well, the people here in Florida want to have a Garrett thing in Florida, some kind of a hunt or something.
Yeah, I know there's been years back a couple things done, and we've done some partnership hunts out there where we come out and participate. I know in the spring there's the Wounded Warriors event that they have there. I'm not probably saying the name of it right, but
Florida Freedom at Florida Home.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you for coming on here with us. Jeff, thank you. Jocelyn, thank you. And we hope to see you again sometime soon, for sure.
All right. Take care, you guys. Pleasure.
Thanks, Steve. We appreciate it. And everybody, look for tomorrow. We will have our giveaway for next week's show when Trevor from Coiltech will be with us. And that video will go up sometime tomorrow. So make sure that when you see it go live, it's time to watch and learn. So we'll see you next Monday night with Trevor from Coiltech. Phil, thanks. Steve, thanks so much. We always appreciate you. You're a fantastic individual and one of the best guests we ever have. We want to thank you for stopping by tonight. Happy hunting, everybody, and dig deeper.
Dig deeper, for sure.